Entering our second season of Blood Time, we want to thank not only our phenomenal and remarkable individuals that were our guests, but also the support, the incredible support that we have had throughout the community, not only locally, but nationally. What you can absolutely put to bed as guaranteed the second season of Blood Time are more remarkable individuals, more transformative stories, and more Blood Time moments. Please give a listen to the second season, for we are all blood. Coach Cimarroni here. Love to all.
Defense Soap at defensesoap.com. In the midst of our current health crisis, we at Blood Time want to thank Guy and Gus Seiko and the team at Defense Soap as a beacon of our protection. Body wipes, skin cleansers, bars of soap, shower gels, and disinfectant tablets. All this and more as Defense Soap is on the front line of our protection. Thanks to the Seiko family and their team at Defense Soap. Check them out for all your protection needs during these precarious times. Defense Soap at defensesoap.com.
Hey, this is Coach Cimarroni, Blood Time. We have a phenomenal guest on the phone today, all the way from, I believe, the Pacific Northwest. Matt Lindland. How you doing, Matt?
Peter, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on the show. And yeah, I'm originally from the Pacific Northwest, but I'm currently living in Colorado Springs at the moment.
Okay, well, you're still west of the Rockies, right?
No, I am not west of the Rockies. I am just east of the Rocky Mountains here on the Front Range.
I guess I'm geographically challenged, but thank you so much for being here. I love that. And yeah, you went to school in Oregon. You went to what school Gladstone High?
Yeah, I did go to high school in Gladstone.
And then you ended up, I think, a national champ at Clackamas, right? Community college?
Yeah, wrestled community college in my hometown. Clackamas Community College is, they are continuing to have a lot of success out there at Clackamas with Coach Josh Roden. He does a phenomenal job with that program.
He does. And I just read a book by Richard Jensen, the guy who was basically a criminal, homeless, to a national champion. And he wrestled at a junior college that I think competed with Clackamas. And he ended up being
Richard did go to Clackamas.
And I think he was he was like a senior national champion, even though he made the nationals for Clackamas. He never placed. But what a story. Oh my God, he was a 36-year-old guy making the national tournament.
Yeah, he certainly did turn his life around with the help of wrestling, and certainly with the support of Coach Roden and the staff at Clackamas Community College. I really have a lot of respect for that program and what they do for individuals as well as the athletes.
It's amazing. It's amazing what that sport is out there at Clackamas and what it could do for individuals like yourself, like for Richard, and really a springboard for you to become a silver medalist at both the Worlds as well as the 2000 Olympics. And you went from folk style to Greco. Tell me a little bit about what attracted you to Greco, Matt, and then your excellence and how you excelled in that style of our sport.
Well, I was very fortunate when I started the sport of wrestling as a freshman in high school. Right after the high school season, I competed at what we called the state tournament in Oregon for Greco-Roman and freestyle, and I was able to enter both divisions as a cadet and as a junior.
Okay.
And so that's how you can literally go 0-8 in one weekend. You enter both styles of freestyle and Greco. You wrestle two age divisions, and you can find yourself 0-8
wow.
in one weekend. And so after that weekend, I started exploring clubs and training opportunities near the Portland area.
Okay.
There wasn't a whole lot out in Gladstone, and I'm not actually from Gladstone. I lived out in Lower Logan, and we did not have high school, so our school district shipped us into Gladstone,
Gotcha.
about 45 minutes away from my home, and
Wow.
and I found the wrestling program there at the high school, but they did not support international style of wrestling or anything postseason. So I found myself over at a club, USA Oregon, where Coach Mark Sprague was leading that program, and he's been a mentor of mine my entire life. And when I got there, they actually had multiple Olympians in the room. One guy, Mark Fuller, who'd already been on a couple Olympic teams. Anthony Amato been on an Olympic team, and then we had guys that were world team members, and then we also had the coach that was the Olympic coach in 1984, and his name was Pavel Kotzen, and he got me involved in Greco-Roman wrestling. And at that time, I was told, the only way to make an Olympic team, and this isn't true, but this is what the orthodoxy was of that time, was the only way to make an Olympic team was you had to find your way to a Division I college and move on. I wasn't quite ready when I graduated high school to compete at the Division I level.
Okay.
And so found myself at Clackamas Community College, like we talked about.
Right.
But ultimately, wrestled D1 for a couple of years at University of Nebraska, and after that, I started pursuing Greco-Roman. My wife and I moved our family back to Oregon after college.
Okay.
And when I was out in Oregon, I was trying to train as best I can out there. And at that time, Coach Mike Houck was starting a resident program at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado. So 2 weeks after my second child was born, my daughter Robin, we packed our car up and moved to Colorado Springs to be a part of that program and pursue the Olympic dream of winning a medal at the games and representing the United States.
It is a dream, and it's a fantastic dream that came true for you. And so there's two questions I have. Who was the person, what coach said something to you, that blood time moment that transformed you from a wrestler to a Greco wrestler and then a Greco world-class wrestler, medalist? And what attracted you to that style of the sport?
Well, I love the philosophy of international wrestling. It's all about risk, and the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward.
Sure.
If you take a guy from his feet to his back, it's 4 points. If you do that maneuver with artisticness and flair, and you create a high amplitude throw, you can add another point onto that.
Yep.
But as far as a particular coach that really inspired me to wrestle Greco-Roman, I guess that would have to be Coach Mike Houck, when he reached out and said, I want you to come train at the Olympic Training Center. I think that was after college,
Sure.
And so just getting that opportunity and that invite from Coach Houck to ask me to come out and be a part of the United States Greco-Roman program when I wasn't even a national team member at that time, I think that was pretty encouraging.
So that really transformed you. That was your aha moment, saying, oh, heck, I could do this. If I'm being invited here, I can do this.
Well, I don't know if I needed validation from anyone
Okay.
to actually believe that. I believed in my abilities, my intelligence, my work ethic, and I knew how to pursue goals. And
Sure.
So I think that it's always nice to be encouraged.
Of course.
And coaches are definitely encouragers, and that's part of their role is to the word encourage is literally to pour courage into someone else. And when you're a coach, your job is to pour courage into your students. And
right.
And so I was certainly encouraged, but I don't know if that was the aha moment where I believed I could do that. I have a lot of belief in myself, and I think probably more so we talked about my coach Mark Sprague, who was the head coach at the club I started at and trained at all through high school. was, just the fact that, Mark constantly reminded his athletes that, we were created in the image of God and the likeness, and, we could do all things.
Sure.
So I just feel like there was a lot of people that encouraged me and poured into me throughout my career. But to answer your question, I would think that moment that Coach Houck invited me out to be a part of the Olympic Training Center was definitely inspiring and encouraging as well.
Well, I love that you brought that up, because there's two things that I'm taking away from that, Matt, is that one, we need courage today, particularly in our situation globally, but our sport, I think, is a courageous sport. So leading with courage is incredibly more important today than it ever has been, and our sport may even be more important today than it ever has been. But two, what you said about that aha moment not really needed, I love, because, I think maybe you're born with that. You're born in your DNA. You were born with that aha moment. And it was just people that were around you, coaches, that just maybe validated that more. But it seems to me that some people are just born with, I can do this. Am I overstating that?
Whatever I've set my mind to, I felt like I could do it, or I probably wouldn't have pursued those goals.
Sure.
I think there was, a time when I finished the Olympic Games. I started fighting in the UFC
Right.
2 months after the games. And I think there's always a lot of negativity in the world. People want to tell you can't do this, you can't do that.
Right.
I think you got to follow your passions and believe in yourself, and then put a plan together and how you're going to accomplish that.
I love that. That's a great blueprint for our young listeners as well as anybody listening. And with that, I want to take a break to thank our sponsors, and we'll be back with you to talk a little bit about the life after the Olympics and the World Championships. We'll be right back with Matt Lindland. I want to thank Serve Pro of Beechwood, our newest sponsor, and Jack Coslin, the owner. They serve all of Northeast Ohio, not just Beechwood. They specialize in disaster cleanup that leaves your home or office like new, like it never happened. Flood and water damage, fire, mold, and they say even blood and guts. Not just any Serve Pro. Seek out Serve Pro of Beechwood. That's Serve Pro Beechwood, Shaker Heights, ClevelandHeights.com, 216-464-4498. Operated by a former All-State wrestler from Beechwood, we love Serve Pro of Beechwood. This is Coach Cimarroni for Next Level Continuing Education. Next Level brings unique education to real estate professionals and real estate investors on how to get money effectively and efficiently into real estate investments. Next Level Continuing Education has ditched the traditional continuing education platform. Gone are the days of listening to boring content in a stuffy classroom setting. Come jump on a Zoom call whenever you find it comfortable and learn how to expand your real estate portfolio. Next Level CE brings unique content across Ohio and the Midwest to teach real estate investors how to become their own bank using the infinite banking concept to acquire more properties quickly. Call Ryan M. Miller, the CE specialist, at 330-933-8231, or click on the link in our show notes. That's Ryan M. Miller, CE specialist, 330-933-8231, or our show notes. The link is where you go. Thank you. Hey, it's Coach Cimarroni. We're back with Matt Lindland, Olympic silver medalist, world champion, and U.S. national champion, or actually I think world silver medalist, if I don't want to misstate that. Am I correct, Matt?
World and Olympic silver medalist, yeah, 2 different weight categories.
Okay, but you were a U.S. national titleist, though, correct?
Multi-time, five different national titles at the senior level.
Fantastic.
Won national titles at the university age division in both freestyle and Greco-Roman.
Wow.
And yeah.
That's fantastic. And, that takes you into the MMA, but more also into the limelight of TV and movies. And you were on a documentary, Fight Life. You were on Leverage, Oz. You were even in a Mary-Kate and Ashley movie, right? New York Minute.
Yeah, I did some film work and some stunt work for. And yes, for sure.
And how did that happen? Well, was there like a agent that was there looking at some of your stuff, some of your matches? How did you get into on HBO and some of these other shows?
Oh, I think it's always about connections and relationships. And one of the fight judges that I knew was a stunt coordinator in New York City, and I was out in New York, and there was an opportunity to do some film work on the Oz. I think I did 4 episodes of that. Right. And then I got picked up to do the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen movie, New York Minute. And then really kind of just, that was just something fun to do. Sure. It's always nice to get a little residual check in the mail from the SAG, but ultimately that wasn't a passion of mine that I was trying to pursue. It was something maybe I was looking more at, just exploring the opportunity. Sure. And it was more about doing the stunt work that I felt like I had an ability to do. Sure. So I did some of those films, and then Leverage, Christian reached out to me when they were filming that in Portland. Right. There was a big fight episode, and they brought me in to kind of work alongside the lead character there, Christian Kane. Oh yeah, sure. He needed some ideas on choreographing some big fight scenes. He also needed help supplying extras for guys working out in the gym, and I at that time I'd been operating a gym for about 15 years in Oregon. Right. And so I brought some of my professional fighters over there. I helped them choreograph all the fight scenes, and we shot that in Portland. So that was how I got involved in that one. That's cool too, because I never, I was watching Foxcatcher a couple weeks ago, and we had Yoshi Nakamura on our last episode, and Yoshi was the Japanese wrestler, I believe, in the movie. But it's always good to watch a wrestling movie or a fight movie, and you know that it's somewhat good or somewhat realistic. When you see it, that fight scene that we did in Leverage on the tap out job was that was a really great scene. I mean, that we shot for hours and hours on that. It's amazing how long it takes just to get a natural look to it, right? Yeah, absolutely. I know, it's crazy, but and then you did Fight Life. Tell me a little bit about that. That was a pretty cool movie, no? I know it was some kind of documentary. I was interviewed in it a few times. It wasn't hugely distributed, so right. I don't know a ton about that production. Okay. It was just something that I probably got a credit in because I was interviewed in there. Gotcha. Well, I also just watched the documentary on Lee Kemp, Wrestled Away, and it's something. Yeah, I saw that too, and it's interesting. You're talking about guys that I do a leadership podcast on YouTube. Okay. And I'd recently had Lee on there. I also had Mark Schultz recently on my show. Wow. So two interesting guys that you've been talking about that I've just recently done podcasts with myself. Yeah, we had Lee on last year in my first season, and I've known Lee since he was in high school. I went to high school at the same time that he did, and he was at a high school that was in our league, and he was always our idol growing up because, my goodness, he transformed himself from a sophomore that was basically 500 to an undefeated state champ as a junior by doing basically one thing, just doing everything Gable did. So it's amazing where and then beat him during Gable. He did. He beat while he was still in high school. Yeah, he beat. He was an 18-year-old. I think he may have been a freshman at University of Wisconsin. He was 17 at the time. 17, yeah. He beat Gable coming out of the Olympic year, trying to make the Olympic team the next year.
crazy story. But that's fantastic. And so, Matt, you got into coaching after your Olympic run, your world run.
Well, actually, I got into coaching when I was out here living in Colorado Springs. I told you that Coach Houck invited me out to Colorado Springs and
Right.
to be a part of this resident program. He'd actually stepped down from the position. We had a new coach come in and take over the national program at that time. And in '96, I fell short of making the Olympic team.
Okay.
Back then, there was a rule that if you went hand to hand on a gut wrench, you only got one, and if a guy broke down to his elbow or his shoulders, you got two. And when I gutted my opponent, Gordy Morgan, at the tournament, he went hand to hand, and he turned me for two, and so I ended up losing that match 2-1 to Gordy Morgan. He ended up going on and competing in the Olympic Games in Atlanta that year.
Okay.
And the difference between me being number one and me being number 2 or 3 on the national team was a difference of being able to afford to live in Colorado,
right,
and train full time. So I'd taken a job at the University of Nebraska as an assistant coach back when Coach Newman was there.
Okay.
And I was coaching for 4 years while I was pursuing my Olympic dreams. I coached multiple NCAA All-Americans, a Division I national champion, Brad Bering, and 2 of those athletes both went on to compete in Greco-Roman and win world medals for the United States, Justin Reese and Brad Bering. So, in 4 years, I developed into a fairly decent coach.
Right.
Moved back to Oregon and was not only professionally fighting as a prize fighter for 12 years, I was coaching athletes and managing athletes and getting them, fights in the UFC and all over the globe. Honestly, we were fighting in Europe and Asia and everywhere in the world. So, I started my coaching career while I was still competing.
That's stellar. That's a beautiful thing to be able to do both at the same time and then have that type of success and then pay it forward in regards to getting that type of international success from the guys that you're coaching. And I'm sure too they may have taught you some stuff, coming back. It's interesting as a coach. I've had so many guys that have come back and have taught me things, and the student becomes the teacher, and then you get better, and then you teach more. It's crazy how that works, isn't it?
It's great, and just building those relationships with certain athletes that you have throughout your entire life. Somebody like Brad Bering, who's
yes,
just one of the most wonderful human beings I know. When I was coaching out there, it was just me and my wife and our 2 kids, and
right.
I remember Brad saying, "Hey, Coach, let me watch your kids so you can take your wife out on a date." And
Yes.
that was the first time we'd ever experienced that because, when we got married when I was a junior in college, and we had our first child that summer.
Yes.
We had never really spent any time alone with one another, and honestly, Brad was probably the only person I would let watch my children.
Right. Well, that's beautiful too. That is the selflessness of our sport. It just attracts so many great people. There's always the bad apple, but more times than not, we get those types of really quality human beings because it takes so much just to step on the mat. You talk about courage, right? Just doesn't matter what level. Get on the mat. You got to be a little bit. You got to have a little bit of courage.
Yeah, you do. You have to take action and face your fears and do bold and courageous things. Wrestlers, their life, is rooted in their faith and ideals and principles. It's, honestly strip away the pride and pettiness and, brings great meaning to life and purpose.
I could not agree with you more. That's really our currency, isn't it? That's our wealth, as a sport or as a coach, is that humanity that we see and that right now is needed even more so. And, so you're doing that now in Colorado. So what are you doing today as a coach or as a business person?
Well, I was very, blessed with the opportunity to, right when I was retiring from competitive mixed martial arts, which I did for 12 years, I was ranked as high as #1 in the world.
Wow.
I had the opportunity to fight. When I was the #1 middleweight in the world, I got the opportunity to fight the #1 heavyweight in the world in his hometown in St. Petersburg, Russia.
Wow.
Train and travel and compete all over the globe and meet a lot of people. And it's not just wrestling; it's martial arts across the board. And I think too many times we look at wrestling as only a sport and not a martial art. I didn't get into the sport to become an Olympic champion. I got into the sport to honestly have the skills and the abilities to defend myself from
Sure.
bullies in high school.
Right. It's
But
the original martial
ultimately,
art. It's the original martial art.
It is a very effective martial art.
Yes.
When you look at it, because in real life you don't train on, or you don't fight on mats and
Right.
soft surfaces. You can use the ground below you and create that opportunity to lift your opponent off the earth and return him to a hard surface.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, it's a very effective martial art.
No doubt.
For sure. But going back to your question there,
Yes.
in 2004, the position opened up, and I thought I would, apply for this job. And ultimately, I took the position and moved down here in summer of 2014, right before the World Championships in Uzbekistan that year, and jumped in full on. I mean, we just when I'd gotten hired, we just had selected our world team for that year through our trials process, and I got the opportunity to help prepare these athletes and take them to a World Championships just a few months later.
That is fantastic, Matt. Well, I'm sure that you've touched so many lives in so many positive ways, and we are very fortunate to have you on the podcast Blood Time, and I want to thank you so much for sharing your story. And today in this world, what we're facing, I ask all my guests to leave us with a word of encouragement and inspiration. And I'm going to turn it over to you, and please share with our audience what you wish to.
I think you just need to, connect your goals to emotions and logic, and figure out how we can, you can always be brave and afraid at the same time. It doesn't matter if you're nervous or you're a little afraid, because we can go out and accomplish anything if you believe you were created in the image and likeness of the Creator. Then you know that you are endowed with the seeds of greatness, and you can go out and accomplish anything in life. So it's just figure out what your passion is, what you're passionate about, and follow those dreams. I've been able to do that my entire life, with wrestling, with mixed martial arts, and then after I retired from mixed martial arts, I took up professional whitewater racing for 7 years, and made a national team, won a couple of events at the national championships there, and was a 7-time regional champion in that sport. But it's all about taking risk, and I think that is what's inherent and about the international styles of wrestling. It's all about risk, and you go back and you look at the watered down version of our folk style wrestling system.
Yes.
That it's more about control and not taking so much risk.
Right.
So that's what I really appreciate about the international styles is it is about risk, and there is a lot of risks we have to take in life, and
Sure.
You can find parallels all across there.
I love what you just left us with. Calculated risk, right? Calculated risk is a brilliant thing, but more importantly, what you said about fear and bravery together, I just think is brilliant what you said, Matt. And Obviously, that got you to the heights of the best of the best in now 3 sports: MMA, wrestling, and whitewater rafting. It's an amazing story, and I really thank you for sharing it with us today.
Yeah, absolutely, Peter.
Yes, well, Matt, thank you so much. Good luck out in Colorado. Please stay safe, stay strong, stay healthy, be courageous, be creative, and we love your leadership throughout these years, and thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me on your show, and we'll have to do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Well, this was Matt Lindland. Thank you again, Matt Lindland. This is Peter Cimarroni, Coach Cimarroni for Blood Time. We are blood. Love to all. Yes, this is Coach Cimarroni for Limo King, one of our newest sponsors, and Connor Mack. We love Connor. He has this company that's the premier party bus company for Cleveland, with over 200 reviews being 5 stars. That's 200 reviews at 5 stars. Holy cow. All of their vehicles are purchased brand new and are custom built. They service nights out, sporting events, concerts, weddings, and many other services. They service all of Northeast Ohio, Akron, and Canton. Feel free to call or text the owner, Connor Mack, directly at 440-221-4474. That's Connor Mack, 440-221-4474. TheLimoKing.com. TheLimoKing.com for all of your party bus needs. I want to share with you my thought of the day. Agendas are a thing of the past. It's time for authentic humanity.
This is Dominic Abinator. You've just heard another episode of the Blood Time Podcast. Check out more at maverickpodcasting.com.